About to get into some pretty serious mess on Interstate 65 in just a minute, and we're going to show that to you. I want to go to some images coming in off my iPad source. These are from viewers this morning, and the first shot, that is a side street in Tuscaloosa. So forget the interstates, that's what the side streets look like. This is where people live, but this is a scene that we have seen over and over and over throughout the morning. And again, this is a situation where if you're out there, there's a good chance you're going to be in a problem. That's Children's Alabama, by the way. And what happens if you get into one of these incidents, then you're going to endanger the lives of the first responders that have to come out there and rescue you. And some people have been sitting out here in this stuff for hours and hours early this morning, and it's just not worth it. Charles?
Hey, James, let's go to the the Children's of Alabama camera. You just mentioned it. It's still starting to get worse. Look at this right here. As we switch, this car, if you can see the mouse right there, that car was the only car on the side of the road. This truck is now slowing down. He's losing traction. These three trucks lost traction. One of them actually started sliding backwards as I was watching just a few minutes ago, but they've stopped. They're all on the side of the road. So that's what we're watching. These folks, they're still trying to do this, and we're telling you, it's not passable. In fact, that truck that just went up the hill, I can barely see it now. It's actually stopping and pulling over, but we're going to continue to see these people adding to it, and these folks are trying to get on the road right now. In fact, I believe this vehicle where you see the mouse here at the bottom of the screen just got a little sideways a minute ago.
And we're about to see Megan come through that shot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to watch for.
Yeah, let's hold that. In fact, let's take Megan's camera.
Can we double box those?
Yeah, that would be interesting if we could. Megan is going to be coming through that shot, and again, this is I-65 southbound. She's passing, looks like around 4th, 6th Avenue South, and she's going to be getting in that spot in just a minute. So that's her stream. Let's go back to the camera atop Children's of Alabama.
Yeah, and look, these guys are losing traction on the right-hand side of the road. Again, they're beginning to slow down, and I believe that tractor-trailer right there is not going to make it, right where the mouse is. He's not going to make it. He's lost traction. He's stopped at this point.
Wow.
He may be creeping along. And this
Megan, can you hear us? If you can hear us, Megan, we've got you double boxed with the live shot of the interstate, and we're seeing a lot of problems just ahead of you going up. And again, that's going up the slope up on top of Red Mountain. So describe what you've got there.
Okay, so for right now, it looks like we've been mentioning it all morning. The roads are just completely icy. I've noticed several cars have been speeding past us, which they shouldn't have been. However, I will say we haven't seen many cars. So we will continue to move southbound on 65 and kind of run into what you're talking about. We're about to, Red Mountain will be on our left-hand side at this point. You can see the Vulcan in our shot to give people a little bit of a reference point. But right now we're just dealing with some ice, and it's a solid sheet of ice.
And obviously the biggest problem, it's the ridges. For those that are watching on the live stream from Walla Walla or Sheboygan, wherever, we're in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains down here. And we have in the Birmingham Metro some ridges that are 1,200 feet. And Red Mountain is one of those ridges. It's not one of the bigger ones, but again, you've got to go up that big ridge, Red Mountain. And Megan is in the process of driving southbound, and she's going to be trying to get up the ridge. And again, she's in a vehicle designed to handle this, which means she's going to get up the ridge. But as Charles has noted, a lot of people are having a hard time getting up that ridge.
And she's not driving as well. She's got Stephen Quinn with her. He's driving, I believe. So it's safety first. That's what we're doing here.
And a lot of people say, you know, why do you put your people out? And when it comes to like Brian Peters, Brian has trained 10,000 storm spotters. That's what he does. He's safe. Megan is a meteorologist, and Stephen is an excellent driver in a vehicle designed to do this. And by showing you these pictures, you know what? You're going to stay off the road. If you've got some, you know, bonehead like me flapping my lips, yeah, there she is right there. You can see the flashing lights in the bottom part of the screen. That's Megan. So, Megan, we're watching you on the Skycam now.
We're waving, but,
yeah.
But from what we can see in front of us, it's about to be a dead stop. So I don't know how we want to go around this.
Well, what you're going to see on the right-hand side.
Like you can see the car right before you get to the sign. It looks like this car has now, we're going to pull up next to it, but it looks like the car has spun off the side of the road and down in the embankment.
All right, well, watch out, because going up that hill here, a lot of those tractor trailers, they're losing traction. They're having to get off to the side. A few of the four-wheel drive vehicles out ahead of you may be able to get through, but I don't know what you're going to see out ahead of that. Can we get back to that double box? Because I think we're going to get a lot clearer view as she gets up the hill, as they get up the hill there. we may see a complete blockage there on 65. We'll see this starting to back up pretty quickly. What's it like? Are you, it looks like you're moving about 10 miles an hour, which is probably about the top speed you want to go out there.
Yeah, Charles, I can tell you right now, I've been going about 10 to 15 miles an hour, as that's as fast as we'd like to go. The issue is it's not the speed that's is the problem. It's when you have to put those brakes on.
Right.
If you try to slam the brakes on right there, see, if you're watching our screen, it just slides, and then you lose complete control. So that is really the issue. And if you're out here on the roadways, you can kind of get some confidence if you keep going. But it's when you get to these issues of having to brake or make sudden turns, that's where it becomes a problem. You saw the car that we just passed about a couple hundred yards ago that literally went off into the embankment. And I think what we're going to do here is maybe actually try to exit off on Green Springs Avenue. The reason I say that is because when Megan and I were coming northbound, earlier this morning with you guys, there was literally the entire southbound portion was blocked. There were tractor trailers in all of those lanes, and it looks like that may be the case here now as well as we're approaching it. I know it's hard to see from our iPad, but our view of it, you can see that they are stopped. So we're likely going to get off here at the Green Springs Avenue exit because you simply cannot. And
we're gonna continue to follow you. Let's double box these two if we can. I don't know if we can do that. I'm talking to the director. This is actually Bill Castle, our famed photographer. Fantastic job that he does. This is actually I-65 at Green Springs. So we're going to see that through. You can see some of the police officers working there. And tractor trailers, they're creeping along. I can't even believe they're braving it now at this point. Even with the sun up, temperatures are well below freezing. In fact, wind chills down in the minus 1 or 2, 3 degree range. So it is awfully cold. And you can see folks are trying to get up and over the mountain there. And I have a feeling there's probably an accident just past that where the police officer was involved. He's trying to lead them up and over the hill. And my goodness.
And Charles?
Don't anticipate doing that. What are you seeing there? Let's take Stephen Quinn and Megan Thomas, the live stream, the chaser there. Looks like those cars are lining up. That's the children's camera that we were just looking at.
Go, Stephen.
Well, and you're seeing some of these cars. I think they're realizing what's ahead of them now because it had been fairly clear as we went through Birmingham until you arrive here. And you can see what the process that's going on here is you see all of these trucks that are lined up. What's going on up above the hill where you can't see our vantage point, they have wreckers up there, and they're literally taking the trucks and carrying them back over atop the hill because they simply can't do it themselves. We talked to one of those wreckers over on Shades Mountain, and he told us that they've been out here overnight and that this is the situation, and they've been having to tow tractor trailers all the way down to Shelby County Airport. So that gives you a sense of how broad the conditions are in this area. And if you look here, I mean, that tells the story right there. Lined up, and there is no way to get past them.
So, Stephen, what you're saying, they're waiting for a tow. Is basically they're just lined up waiting for a tow.
Right. And some of these are not disabled. Some of them have simply just parked knowing that they can't get out of here. And so there are some, though, that are. You can also see cars have also had problems. It's not just the 18-wheelers. You can see a white pickup truck on the left side of our screen that is actually in the median there, the neutral ground area that is clearly spun out and ended up there. They appear to be in a single file down there. We're coming up on the overpass. If you're looking, this is Green Springs now that we are going up onto so that maybe we can get you a better vantage point so that you can show it. In fact, or I think we can do, Megan, if you want to take the iPad in a minute, we're going to come over the overpass and we'll look out the window and give you a view. So bear with us here as we try to, because the one thing we don't want to do is go down there, because once you go down that interstate, there's simply no coming back. And in fact, you can see some people now who are stopped on the exit lanes, and Megan is doing a great job of literally holding the iPad. We're going to come around the overpass now, and if you can see, there are people out there right now out of their cars because there's just simply no movement right here. And you can actually see better than I can now. I'm trying to look over my shoulder as Megan is holding the iPad out, and you can see the process that we explained happening right there. You can see a wrecker. There's a couple of trucks stopped up there, and from my vantage point, maybe you guys can see better, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of movement going on up that mountain.
Yeah, we're seeing no movement at all here. And again, we got your shot. And again, for those watching, Stephen Quinn and Megan Thomas on the left, that's Alford Avenue at I-65 on top of Shades Mountain. The shot on the right, that is from Bill Castle, and Bill is looking down toward the Oxmoor Road exit. We have used that shot many, many times from Bill. And again, that's looking southbound down I-65. That's the Oxmoor Road exit where those big trucks are right now, and they're just creeping through there. But again, Stephen, for as far as I could tell, there's just no movement at all. 65 is just a dead stop, right?
It is, and we've been focusing on this area here going southbound. But I can tell you, James, as we showed and as you know, it's not much better in the northbound lanes right now. You see not a lot of traffic here. The reason is because as we were passing Shades Mountain on the way out here, it is pretty much the same story as well, where you have tractor trailers that are stuck. It's the same process of wreckers coming out there trying to get them over that hill. But as you can imagine, that's a process that takes some time. And when you have this many, I mean, you're looking out there, you can see about 10 to 15 of them there, and there are more on the other side of the overpass, as you saw. There's no telling how long that process could take.
Okay, and while we're looking at this note in, the Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority will continue suspension of bus services for today. Should weather conditions improve by noon, there could be limited service provided. This includes fixed route and our paratransit services. But again, as of now, the Birmingham Jefferson County Transit Authority remains shut down. No public transportation, at least this morning and probably throughout the day today. And of course, Charles, the next question is, when can people drive? That, you know, obviously the screaming message from all these cameras and live streams. Look, you don't have to be an Einstein to figure this out. But the question is, Charles, in your opinion, when can people begin to drive today?
The problem is probably not today. Most of spots today, temperatures will probably not get above freezing. We won't see much improvement on the. We may see some as road crews are out there. They're doing what they can. But remember, we just don't have the equipment to handle it. So we've got a little bit, but not enough. It's not like we're in Tennessee or Ohio or Missouri where they've got just hundreds and hundreds of trucks dealing with this. We've got a few to do what we can when we need it, which isn't quite that often, every couple of years. But again, temperatures today probably in most spots won't get above the freezing mark, and that's going to be an issue. The sunshine's going to help. We're going to see plenty of that throughout the day, so that may make the roads a little slushy, and that may help by this afternoon some. The problem is tonight we're back down in the mid to low teens once again, and we get some refreeze on anything that is left behind. So early tomorrow we'll see some problems as well. We probably won't get above freezing in most spots today, but probably not until about mid-afternoon tomorrow as temperatures climb back into the mid, maybe the upper 30s if we're lucky tomorrow afternoon. So it's going to be a very cold couple of days, and I do want to remind you, check on your neighbors, especially elderly neighbors. Check on them, make sure they're staying warm in this cold temperatures. But again, we advise that you do not travel, most likely throughout the rest of the day unless it's an emergency. This is going to take all day to clean up. So just be aware of that and know that it's going to be an issue. In some spots, it's not terribly bad in northern counties, but do know that this is a problem. This is our I-65 at Highway 31 there. And you can see this.
That's
is
going up the
another
mountain
view.
from the south side.
That's the other
northbound
side of it, and that's what you're looking at. And notice it seems like, James, a few of these folks didn't listen because there's a lot more cars there now than there were maybe an hour ago. And we told you so. Just,
right.
But folks, don't do it.
If we go back to Megan's stream, and again, that is a look on the other side of the hill. This is at Alford Avenue. Well, I take that back. I think that's at Lakeshore. You know, the more Megan, are you still there? I think you're at Lakeshore.
Yeah, James, and it's Stephen here. And one of the things I want to point out as well, Charles had mentioned people getting the message. Unfortunately, the other thing we're seeing is I'm looking at the license plates of some of these vehicles. You know, I see a stranded vehicle from Hinds County, which is in Mississippi, and some of these people, as you know, I-65, well-traveled. Some of these people are from out of town, and perhaps maybe they didn't get the message or were unaware, but they're now in the thick of this as well. As we see, I'm surprised to say this, and as you're seeing it, there are some tractor trailers that are starting to inch their way up there. I can't see from the top if there's movement. It looks like some of them, yeah, Megan's saying she's looking, it looks like they're starting to try and filter some of them through there up on top of the mountain. So that seems to be a process that is now taking place. A moment ago we had told you that there was really nothing moving, but it does appear people are inching their way. They are taking their time. but it's a risky process trying to get up there from our experience in our storm chaser vehicle.
Yeah, that's so obviously these ridges are just brutal. And couple of notes, and we're going to go to the airport in just a second. I've seen this a lot. When the sun breaks out, even if we're below freezing, I do think there's going to be some improvement this afternoon. And the next question is, what about tonight? Will there be refreezing? This is very dry air. The dew points are probably going below zero today, and that's going to dry a lot of this out. So I really think tonight and tomorrow things should be pretty much okay. But obviously, you've got to use common sense. You've got to watch for patchy ice. And again, you can see Megan getting back into the vehicle there. Let's go to the airport camera now. This is our Skycam from Birmingham Coca-Cola. And Charles, if you would, for those that are just joining us, again, kind of give us an update, because so many people are trying to get in or out, especially going to Tampa for this national championship.
Yeah, a lot of folks want to get to those Tampa flights, and most of those have been canceled earlier. Just let me hit a refresh here just to double check. Right now, the current time is 7:19. So what I'm looking at right now, approaching 8 o'clock, they are saying the Atlanta flight is on time. Detroit should be on time. They've delayed the flight to Denver from 8 o'clock until 9:09. They've canceled an additional flight to Atlanta at 9:45. The Tampa flight, 10 a.m. flight, should be on time. That's a Delta flight. They've canceled a flight to Charlotte at 10 o'clock. They delayed a flight to Atlanta a little bit later on. And then on down the line, they've actually canceled a flight to Tampa at 3:30 this afternoon and to Charlotte as well. So a lot of the flights have been canceled early this morning. The Charlotte flight this morning has been canceled. The Dallas flight at 7:25 also canceled. So they are going to continue to see some of those delays. And we may see more cancellations as we go. The biggest problem, though, isn't really getting the planes in and out of the airport. It's getting to the airport. They actually canceled some of the flights inbound as well, because once you get the passengers here, well, you can't get them anywhere. We can't get them out of the airport and get them to their destination. So that's the issue we've been running into really through the morning hours. And look at that wind chill out there, 2 degrees at the moment. We've seen wind chills in the minus numbers already this morning. So if you don't have to be out there, this is not a sightseeing day to go see all this mess, and you don't want to be out there anyway. It's so cold. Just give yourself that time to relax at the house, and you can see all that you need to see here, what we're showing you on the screen.
Yeah, let's go back to Megan's live stream. It is 7:21 if you're just joining us on ABC 3340 Saturday Morning News. We are here because of a very nasty winter storm that impacted the great state of Alabama last night. The most significant icing is where there was a winter storm warning last night. Interstate 20, Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, south. This would include counties down to Chilton and Coosa. In fact, let's look at that map really quickly. Very quickly, we'll take the graphics full screen. We go right back to that double box. You see the pink? In fact, Charles, we technically still have a winter storm warning.
We do, through 9 a.m. this morning.
Right, through 9 o'clock because of what's going on now. The snow and the sleet, it ended last night, but that's where you got your big travel problems. So Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Jefferson, St. Clair, really, Etowah and Cherokee, the icing is not as bad there, but you're under this. And then down to the south, all the way down to Alexander City, Rockford, Clanton, Marion, Greensboro, Utah, York, Livingston. Back to the double box. And again, this is all people want to see are road conditions. Bill Castle, our great chief photographer, has his camera set up along Interstate 65 that is looking southbound toward Oxmoor Road. And again, you see a few folks out there, but not very many. And just beyond the curve down there, that's where you got Lakeshore and Wildwood, and that's where all this mess begins. And then Megan is, and let me see, Stephen and Megan, I don't know who's on the line here, but tell us exactly where you are now.
So right now we're turning onto 65 southbound now. We're going to try getting up this mountain because it looked like they had moved one of the 18-wheelers out of the way that was blocking the road. So everyone's moving smoothly, as smooth as they can, slowly. But we're going to try to hop in line with everybody else and try to see what's going on. But as I say that, I see on the northbound lane an ambulance headed northbound on 65.
Wow. And the one thing, I don't know of any injuries overnight. There's a lot of things we don't know. There are things that have happened on these interstates in rural areas that we just don't know about. I've had pictures overnight of people stranded in these horrible backups where they've just been sitting for hours and hours. But I don't know of any injuries, and that's the good news. So, again, Megan, you are now southbound, and it looks like you are moving.
We are moving ever so slightly, but this isn't an easy process. The ground is completely frozen over. The tractor trailers cannot seem to get up this hill. And the sun's about to come over the mountain, so that one will also blind drivers, and they can't. It won't help anything.
But again, for those that are just joining us, you've been out since 4:30 this morning, Megan. You've seen zero improvement, I assume. The temperatures are we're in the teens. I don't think there's been no change, right?
Exactly. Things haven't changed all morning long. Since 4:30 this morning, Stephen and I have been in the car. We went northbound on 65, and right at Highway 31, Montgomery Highway, you begin to see the truck next to us is now moving backwards. It's sliding down the hill.
Oh, goodness. That's horrible.
Moving.
That's horrifying. That's horrifying.
Right. And there's cars behind it trying to get out of the way as soon as possible.
He has no control. I mean.
Right. He has no control, and he's slipping backwards.
Wow.
But yes, road conditions are awful. I mean, it's unreal. I wouldn't advise anybody to be on the roads right now, even from 4:30 this morning until late this afternoon. And because temperatures are not going to get really above freezing, this stuff isn't going to be melting anytime soon either.
Wow. And again, seeing reports coming in from different places. And again, we're getting thousands of these questions. I've had over 2,500 questions in my social media feeds. And obviously, we can't, if we answer 2,500 questions, we'll be here for 7 days. But the screaming message, don't drive. If you were in the winter storm warning area last night, that is the screaming message. Conditions should begin to improve this afternoon. I would not advise trying to go anywhere if you're in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Anniston, or Point South until 12 noon today. And even at 12 noon, we could be below freezing. The sun and the dry air is going to do some great work on this today, though. And I think by tonight, it's going to be mostly dry with icy patches, nothing like the scene you see right now. And for tomorrow morning, for the churches that are asking, mostly dry with icy patches. This horrific condition we have now will greatly improve by 12 noon today. But my advice, and just hear me when I say this, don't even think about it until 12 noon. If you were in a winter storm warning last night, and forget, me, just some bag of hot air talking, all you have to do is look at all these images and the pictures we see coming in here this morning. And again, Bill Castle's camera on the right, that's looking down I-65 south near Oxmoor Road, and Megan is going up the mountain. And
almost to Oxmoor.
We're almost to Oxmoor at this point.
And
actually, you're going northbound again, right?
Yeah, southbound.
Yeah, they're coming southbound, headed towards Oxmoor. Can we get talking to the producer? Can we get some of those ALDOT cams, those traffic cameras up to show? They're going to head. They're not running right now. Okay, and it may just be a process, but the issue is that it's a nightmare through here. Between these two cameras, you've got dozens and dozens of tractor trailers, and then you've got some folks in their cars trying to get through here, and it just gets jammed up. Here's one of them right now. This is 65 looking towards Alford. You see a couple of vehicles there on the side of the road, a couple of tractor trailers in one direction, and then, of course, it's a sheet of ice, and you can see this line of folks that are trying to get through are just going to add to the chaos that we're seeing. And we don't want you guys at home who are watching to get out on the roads this morning. Just, the best advice we could say is just don't do it. Size 65 at University Boulevard. And in fact, I think it's the same shot, similar shot that we have from our Children's of Alabama camera, if we can take that full. And you can see here coming up and over the hill that the tractor trailers and vehicles are backing up. And basically what they're waiting on is they're waiting on a tow. The trucks themselves can't get over the hill, so they're waiting for those big giant tow trucks to come hook them up with chains and then pull them up and over the hill and get them back to the other side. So it's one by one, and then the passenger vehicles are stuck in that melee. So again, it's very cold. Look at the wind chill there, James. -2 at the Children's of Alabama camera. Winds are howling at around 25 miles an hour. That's maximum sustained winds, a 1-minute wind there. And that's a mess. Wow, this is 459 at I-65. Few folks braving the road there. You got those flyovers, and those are going to be the worst of the flyovers. It's not the actual road itself down below, but the flyovers are a mess. In fact, we can't even see the asphalt there down below. And let's go back to Megan Thomas.
It looks like what's created this whole problem is this particular truck next to me has jackknifed and has now blocked two of the roads, two of the lanes. So the only passable lane is the left-hand lane, and people have figured that out now and are slowly, gradually getting up the mountain. But we also saw on the northbound side that a car just fishtailed and spun out.
What's this
in front of
bonehead
us,
doing
and now
on the
they are
right?
parked on the
Yeah. Megan, you can't see it. We just watched this guy flying down 65.
You got some jabroni going 65 miles an hour, some fool, and if you don't care about your own life, how about thinking about the people in the cars around you?
He might be on the other side
Agreed.
of Megan's shot. We could take hers full now.
This one, is it the silver car? He's going way too fast.
Yeah,
He's
way
about
too
to hit my-
fast. And he's going to come down that hill, and we're going to see him have a wreck probably on the backside of 65 there coming down. Oh.
So, they're braking. But there's a car in the middle of the lane, blocking the road because it just fishtailed and spun sideways.
That's the other thing people got to. The other thing, if I could just say, you've got cars that are stopped in the middle of the road, and if you're coming down, you may not be able to see it until you come around a corner or over a hill. And the problem is as I said earlier, when you try to brake, if you try to slam on those and pump those brakes, the car's not going to stop, especially with these conditions as you've mentioned. I will say the one thing now that James had mentioned earlier, we're coming over the hill now, and normally you don't want to see sunlight in your eyes, but I'm sure it's a welcome sight to these roads that, as we've been mentioning, and Megan had said, a quarter inch of an ice at least in some of these areas right now. This is all ice in front of us. It may look like it's slick.
And we could see you guys on Bill Castle's shot.
Okay. Well, if you see the benefit then of that view, it is nothing but ice except for under the overpasses. So not a good situation here in that regard.
Yeah.
And I got a report coming in from John Talbot now, Charles. Jefferson County Sheriff reporting several jackknife 18-wheelers at Interstate 459 and Liberty Parkway. And again, there's a live look at our storm chaser vehicle. Hello. Hello. That's got to be cold. I mean, that's
-2 wind chill. Yeah.
Now she's got a lot of hair. You stick my bald head out that thing, my eyeballs would be frozen. So yeah, there we go. We see you guys.
I will tell you when we got out with the iPad 20 minutes ago, I was shivering. It takes only about a minute, 2 minutes before you start chattering your teeth and start shivering.
Right. And Megan, just for some planning, if you make it down to 459, we'd like for you to head toward Liberty Park. And let's see what 459 looks like, because again, the late report coming in, there are multiple jackknifed 18-wheelers, 459 at Liberty Park. So if you can make it, and that's a big if.
James, are you able to see our car right now?
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
Right now. Okay. I just want to show you something for the benefit of our viewers. If you try to brake, this is four-wheel drive. That's what happens.
Yeah,
That's what happens when you try to slam on the brakes.
Well, there's a big truck behind you, Stephen. Get moving again.
Okay. I see it, and we're moving slowly. But I just trying to show people again that it's not being able to move. It's the stopping that becomes a problem on these roadways. And if you're going too fast, you're not going to be able to correct yourself.
Well, look, you guys be safe. If you can, head back over towards that 459 area. You know, James, one of the problems I've noticed, a lot of these spots, this is where the interstates are real shady during much of the day. And this is, what was that, 280 at Cahaba Park?
Yeah, that's right by Grandview Medical Center, and that's near the Target there, and that's 280 is not good. 280 is just not good. People are trying to, just 280 is not good. And I in social media, I probably answered at least 100 people in the last 20 minutes. Don't drive. What don't you understand about don't drive until noon today? If you were in the winter storm warning last night, and again, if you're north of Birmingham, you were not in the winter storm warning. You just got patchy ice in Cullman and places like that. So.
Let's go to that Grandview Medical Center camera, our sky cam there. That's 280 and 459 right there. Let's go to a different view. This is our Grandview camera. You see those trucks that we're just looking at. They're stopped. They're blocking the road, and folks can't get all the way up the hill. There's another vehicle there. On the left-hand lane, these guys are stuck before the summit. That guy right there just got sandwiched in between. He's trying to back out of there because he couldn't get by. And so you've got people trying to get off the interstate. These guys are trying to get on. I don't know why. We've tried to mention how bad it is. But, yeah, these guys are getting stuck going up. I think this truck right here just actually got stuck. And I can't tell if that car is either backing up or just sliding backwards, James.
And let me tell you what, when these trucks start sliding backwards, they don't stop. They don't stop. And let me tell you what, your little car you're in is going to have a hard time dealing with that. It is just bumper cars out here. And we've had multiple wrecks. And again, for many, I know at one point last night, Birmingham police said they're not going to respond to calls that are, unless they're an absolute emergency, which means wreck calls. They're not going to respond. They just can't do that. And that was Birmingham police as of last night. I have no idea what law enforcement can do or what they can't do at this point. But I do know this: if you're driving and if you get into a big brouhaha and somebody's got to come rescue you, you're putting the lives of the first responders in danger that have to come get you. And again, this is a live look at I-65, and goodness, you got a guy that stopped in the middle lane.
James, let's go back to the Grandview camera. This guy, if you can see it, he just slid. This white truck right here where the mouse is,
yeah.
He was just behind this truck on the left and just slid all the way backwards, and I think he ran right into that car right there. See, he's still sliding. I don't think I can get any tighter than that, but he's still going backwards. So he lost traction and just started sliding backwards.
Let's go back to Bill Castle's camera. This is
that's a dangerous situation.
yeah. Brendan, Dave, you guys have been down this path before. This is no good.
This reminds us of a few years ago. You know, you showed us Highway 280 where they're trying to get up the hill, and that's where it stopped several years ago. People were stuck in traffic for 8, 10, 12 hours. But yeah, you see this vehicle that's actually stopped, and James, you were talking about it earlier. Some people actually probably running out of gas because they have been stuck out here trying to move. We don't know exactly what the situation is with this particular vehicle, but it is so dangerous. We've seen several 18-wheelers passing him and changing lanes with the ice. So, you know, that's setting the situation up for just a wreck to happen any moment now. So we certainly hope it doesn't happen.
We're not sure what that guy is doing right now, James.
I think they just got scared to go down the hill, and he stopped.
Right, and sometimes people do panic and they just stop in the middle of the interstate, and sometimes that's the worst possible thing you can do because you're going to get rear-ended. Yeah, that's just a bad situation. So again, this is Interstate 65 at the Red Mountain Crest. This is between Oxmoor Road and Green Springs. That is right at coming right down the peak of the Red Mountain Ridge. And those are those are cars that are going southbound down I-65 from downtown Birmingham. And part of the reason you're seeing nobody going northbound is all the 18-wheelers that are jackknifed in that lane. Again, I hope we don't see something really bad happening here. Yeah, that's 459 at the Galleria. And again, we're going to get Megan on 459. In fact, let's take Megan's camera. She's got a sand truck. So Megan, we do have out, and look, guys, they're doing all they can. We don't have a lot of sand trucks, and we don't have a lot of plows here. We don't. But Megan, it looks like that. You've seen more of those out there this morning, right?
Yeah, we've seen, and James, this is Stephen.
Oh, Stephen, sorry.
Holding the camera. They appear to be working on the sand that is in the load portion of that truck right now. So it is stopped right now. But we have seen a number of sand trucks out here. But I will say, as you've been saying, they're dealing with the same conditions that we are trying to get in and out of here. It does have a plow on the front end of that truck, which you weren't able to see there. But you know, it's just tough sledding out here right now. In these areas, I will say right here, and I don't know the reason why, but they've got a decent amount of area here that is not covered in ice, but it's not the same situation in a lot of the areas we've seen. As you mentioned, it is patchy, but when it is there, it is significant. So we're going up here. We're about to Alford Avenue to give you just a sense of where we're going. And as you mentioned, making our way over to 459 as soon as we can get there. A pretty significant hill we're going up here. But I will say at this portion, there is not a number of stranded vehicles in this area. But what we're going to go back towards as we make our way towards Shades Mountain is you're going to see what we talked about in the northbound lanes, where we saw that same situation playing out earlier this morning when we were first making our way out there. So if you bear with us, you should see what, if any, progress they've made on that here in a moment. I'm going to hand the phone back to Megan now as she's mounted back the iPad.
Okay. And
hey, James, it looks like the far right two lanes have less ice than the inside lanes.
I think they've probably been treated.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Mm-hmm. And again, we're watching another car, Megan. We're watching your live stream. We're watching Bill Castle's live feed in a double box situation here. We've got a motorist that's just
panicky.
Right. and on Interstate
So
65 South, and that's you don't want to be stopped in the middle lane like that.
And what's
So it
happening?
looks like the car that's in front of us right now spun out.
Oh no,
and is
yeah.
now
Let's take Megan's full screen,
the
see if
other
we
way.
can see that there.
Yeah, she just
Well,
passed. She just
passed it,
Yeah,
just passed
we'll go
it.
back to the double box. But yeah, I hope something bad doesn't happen here to this vehicle that's stopped in that middle lane of I-65 southbound. And again, this is just right at the hill, Red Mountain, coming down toward the Oxmoor Road exit. And again,
All it's going to take is one driver to brake too hard, and they're going to slide right into the back of that vehicle. So,
right.
my goodness.
So Megan, again on the left, she's at Alford Avenue now. She's up at the top of Shades Mountain, and she's about to come down. And, you know, going up and down are both kind of tricky on these ridges. But Megan is going to get on Interstate 459, headed east over toward Liberty Park, where a number of 18-wheelers have jackknifed. And again, we're going to stay. We know that really all that's of interest to you, it's the conditions. And again, we advise if you were in the winter storm warning last night, don't drive until after 12 noon today. That's our screaming message. And even after 12 noon, watch for patchy ice. The sun and the dry air will do wonders with these roads. I've seen that so many times over the years, and it's going to be much, much, much better this afternoon. But between now and noon, I would not try that. If you're north of Birmingham, where you were not in the winter storm warning, understand that the ice is just patchy there, but still, there are patches of ice. Be very careful if you do drive north of Birmingham this morning. But we are clearly one of the biggest traffic nightmares in the country right now because of the snow that came down last night. And again, we're going to stay with these double boxes here. Other reports coming in, again, we've had reports of multiple 18-wheelers that are jackknifed at the Moody exit, the old Brompton exit. They rebranded it Moody. I guess the folks in Moody wanted the sign to say Moody, which I can understand. But anyway, I-20 inbound is pretty much shut down because of that. We've had reports of multiple accidents on Interstate 5920 west of Birmingham, exactly where I don't have the specific information. But you just don't want to get stranded in one of the... Yes, go ahead, Stephen.
I'm just jumping in just to tell you this is a particularly bad area right now. We are, in fact, sliding a little bit ourselves here. And I don't know why this person is driving down here. We are just past Alford Avenue on I-65. And look at that. There it goes. There he's starting to slide out right in front of us. And that is why you do not want to be going fast on this road right now. You've seen, if you can see, I know the sunlight is making it very hard right now.
No, it shows the ice. It shows the ice amazingly well. That sun makes the ice look really.
And there's a stranded vehicle to the left, and we've seen. I mean, even with the four-wheel drive, as you mentioned, this car that is specifically designated for this. I've felt the back tires give out a little bit on this part as we could make our way down Shades Mountain. The one thing I will say, though, I had mentioned to you earlier about headed back northbound. There were a number of 18-wheelers there when we had been coming around 4:30 this morning. At least initially, from our vantage point, looking across the median, it appears that some of those have been cleared out of the way. So that is some good news this morning that we can report to you in this area. They appear to have been making some progress on that. But as you see here, starting to slow down. And anytime you try to use the brakes, they just simply don't give you much here in this area. And I'm starting to slide myself here as well. So as Megan is holding the phone for us, but it is very tough, particularly on this part of Shades Mountain, coming down south, down the mountain. Very, very tricky situation here.
And again, we have so many other places that are like that. Not all places are like that, but many places are. There's so many county governments that made the decision to declare a civil emergency last night. I don't even have time to run down the list. But when a county declares a civil emergency, they issue what's called a civil emergency message. It's distributed by the National Weather Service. That's how it gets to us. And the CEM messages basically say all roads in the county are considered impassable. Don't drive. We don't have the ability to respond to accidents. Don't even think about that. Again, now this is a live look at traffic trying to go up Shades Mountain in the northbound side. This is down in Vestavia at Highway 31. And you can see that it's...
Is that car backing up or sliding?
I don't even want to know.
And there's somebody out there on the road. Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, what's going to happen, Stephen and Megan, they're going the other way. They're going down the hill, and over there in that other lane, that's what's happening coming up the hill, and it's just a total log jam. For those asking about U.S. Highway 280, it's not good. It's all ice. We had a reporter down around Lee Branch, and we saw an 18-wheeler that couldn't make it up Double Oak Mountain, and it just kind of was slowly backing down.
We've got a camera there, the Grandview camera. There's two that are stuck right in front of the summit, and we saw a couple of cars slide backwards there. And in fact, what happened, he might still be in the frame. Well, he just left. So a car slid, if you can see the arrow, slid back this way. I believe he actually hit that one car. Well, he got in the grass and drove up the grass, then jumped back on 280. So
here's a report from John Talbot, Interstate 59 at mile marker 115. Troopers are reporting numerous cars abandoned on the road. And again, it's memories of 2014. Obviously, in this case, people listened. The warnings were very good. But it seems like there might have been some people. And what happens when you run out of gas, you can't survive when when the wind chill index is 0 or below 0. And maybe somebody picked you up and they take you to a warm place and the cars are abandoned. So again, that was Interstate 59 at mile marker 115. So again, that is just brutal. And obviously we have, in a situation like this, we can't have...
James.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see on 65 northbound on our stream, there's a line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just tractor trailers really blocking 65 northbound.
Yeah, you're about to get into a big mess. We had an ALDOT camera on that earlier. So again, explain very clearly where you are so people will know.
Right now we're at 65 southbound. We're about, I'd say, 2 miles from the Atlanta, Gaston, Tuscaloosa 459 split. So we're going to try to get on 459 and then head back towards Liberty Parkway. We're at exit 252, if people know where that is. It's probably right before you get to 31. Okay.
And again, just for those back in the back, we might extend our coverage a little after 8 o'clock. We'll make a call here in a couple of minutes, but just to let you know, the weather team might keep going a little bit past 7. Dave and Brenda, how y'all doing over there? I worry about you guys. We talk too much.
Well, so much has been happening so quickly, James. It's playing out with these live cameras. It's amazing what we can see now. Now, in the last hour, Vestavia Hills Police Department reminding people that they have closed all roads in Vestavia Hills. Megan is close to Vestavia Hills, where it's very, very mountainous and treacherous to try to get out, almost next to impossible to try to get out on the roads, and not the highway, of course. But yes, you can see there she is really seeing a lot of traffic right now. We've warned people, please try to stay off the roads, but people are venturing out. Of course, these truck drivers are coming from all parts unknown, and they're already out there. So hopefully this situation will wrap up by noon, as James Spann has been saying.
Yeah, and James, the bad news is I'm keeping James Spann hours today, and my hair's already falling out.
Oh, brother.
It's a problem.
Yeah, brush that off your shoulder.
Yeah, there you go.
Dave's embarrassed to admit he wears a toupee. So
I was going to say, it's just time to buy a new one.
Yeah, but just go to the toupee store and get another one. So again, this is a look at, that would be Interstate, goodness, I'm trying to, it's got to be 65. Pretty close to the junction there. And again, we're thankful that there's not that many people out this morning, which is a good thing. And again, Megan or Stephen, which one of you are there?
That's a sheet of ice.
That looks nasty. Goodness, the sun is in a perfect angle to reflect off that ice.
Yes. So we're sitting on the skating rink of 65 southbound, but I wanted to let you know northbound is completely shut down. There was a jackknife tractor trailer, which we have reported earlier, but is now, you can see the traffic backing up on 65 back past probably the exit for Hoover. At this point, we're right at exit 252, which will take you onto Highway 31 and head into Vestavia.
It looks like they're trying to divert traffic off on 231, but some of these trucks are already down here at the bottom of the hill, so they're just going to be here for a while. Got a truck.
And that truck is going way too fast.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to have some trouble there.
We're going to extend our coverage to 8:30, Master Control. So again, we're going to keep going until 8:30 because of the critical nature of the information we're sharing. We were going to stop at 8. But sometimes in weather you have to make a call like we do in tornado situations, and because of the serious nature of this, we're going to extend this 30 more minutes. So we're going to stay on television with you until 8:30 this morning. A note from John Talbot, Rescue 32 with Birmingham Fire and Rescue is stuck on a ramp on the Red Mountain Expressway coming in from St. Vincent's Hospital. And understand, these first responders have to make calls. You're going to have people that have heart attacks, people have medical emergencies. They've got to go out in this stuff. And again, they're having trouble themselves. And when the first responders have problems, you know that you're going to have some problems. And again, you know, you might think you're just a bad dude. And, you know, we're just silly and, you know, so what? It's ice. I'm a tough guy. Well, fine. If you go out there, not only do you endanger your life, but you endanger the lives of those other people that are around you, and it might be somebody that you actually care about. So just don't even take that attitude. We need to take a big, deep breath and wait until 12 noon today. I promise conditions will be greatly improved. Now, let's go to the airport shot, because that's the next big issue. We're in kind of a situation here. We got a national championship game involving a college football team in this state. And I think most people watching know that team, and that is a live look at BHM and Birmingham Shuttlesworth. Charles, it looks pretty quiet down there.
You know, it's been pretty quiet. They've canceled some of the flights, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But you can see, we've seen flights coming and going, so it's not actually the tarmac. They can get the planes out. It's getting to the airport that's going to cause the biggest headache. And as we look at flybirmingham.com, you can go there and look at your departures or incoming information. But they have canceled several flights. Right now, though, the next couple of flights to take off here in the next 10 minutes, 2 Delta flights, one to Atlanta, one to Detroit. They are listed as on time. United Airlines has a delayed flight to Denver at 8:08. That one should be delayed, estimated departure around 9 o'clock. And then they canceled an additional flight to Atlanta at 9:45. The Tampa flight, 10 a.m. flight to Tampa, that's the one everybody wants to know about, is so far on time, but they canceled a flight to Charlotte. We've seen a delayed flight to Atlanta a little bit later on. Later flights, even into the afternoon, has also been canceled. We've got a canceled flight to Tampa. It's a 3:30 flight, so if that's your flight on Delta, you may want to go ahead and call and make considerations. But here's the problem. Getting down there, we're not advising any travel from this point until about lunchtime today. It's still just too hazardous, especially if you have to use 65 or 2059 in downtown. The roads there are still a mess. In fact, I'm going to jump over to our Alabama Power camera here and show you what it looks like. And you can see here, this is 2059 right there, the Alabama School for Fine Arts, and then you get to BJCC. And we'll just kind of scan across. People are moving, but notice it's slow going. And what looks like a clearing is actually most likely still a little spot of ice, and it doesn't take much, even just a 1/4 inch of ice. And I'm just kind of working my way back towards the Red Mountain Expressway. You see folks trying to work their way through those curves. And we've seen some accidents and delays down through here, and we'll probably see a few more of those.
Hey, Charles, let's go to Tuscaloosa, Gadsden, some of the other cameras while you've got that up, because people are asking. We've been focused on Birmingham because the main problems are focused in Birmingham, but Tuscaloosa's no good.
Tuscaloosa's no good. This is Lurleen Wallace right here, and you can see Lurleen Wallace, okay, it's the side streets are just a mess. And, you know, Lurleen going back over across the Hugh Thomas Bridge, we'll kind of pan that way and take a look. But the bridges and overpasses, they've been sanding those a lot, and they've been doing preparations since early yesterday morning. And the good news is that it seems like it's passable, but that does not mean it's probable that you're going to get to your destination. It's those side roads. The interstates down through here are a mess. And I know we've got some of our reporters out there. I don't know if they're still out and about, but maybe if we can get them back up and running.
Yeah, but again, some of the roads have been treated, some have not. Some have not. So that's Tuscaloosa. Let's check the other side of the state for those asking.
Gadsden looks fantastic. In fact, I'll tell you that. Here's the Broad Street Bridge over the Coosa River there. And the good news is it's not that bad. You've got 411 down below there, and I'll zoom in and show you. The road looks fantastic. That's because you guys didn't get nearly as much. In fact, our sky watchers up that way reported less than an inch of total accumulation. And the sunshine, of course, out now at this point helping out as well. So I guess the main thing is if you saw the worst of it yesterday afternoon and evening, the area that was in that winter storm warning, that's the area of main concern. And that's where we're having the biggest problems. That warning actually still extends through 9 a.m. this morning before we start to see conditions beginning to improve. And that's just the beginning of improvement. Going down to the Inverness sky cam down here, and you can see, looking back down Highway 280 corridor, folks are moving, but in the same story as you've seen throughout the morning. The Grandview Medical Center camera here. These two trucks, if you can see the mouse, the little icon there, these two trucks have been stuck. What's happening, folks are slowing down and then they lose traction and they've been sliding backwards. Now, a few of them have been able to sneak through. The key is just to maintain the momentum. But notice the difference between the surface street and then the bridge. The bridge that crosses over 459 is ugly. It is a nasty, slushy, icy mess, and that's where we've seen a few folks get a little bit sideways there. And then you have to squeeze between these two tractor trailers, which are stuck. They can't get enough traction to get moving again. Actually saw a few folks get over in the grass just to get some traction and move up the road there just a little while ago. Bouncing northward, how about Jasper? You guys are fine up here in Walker County. In fact, it's not a bad day up here at all. I'll try to get you away from that glare just a little bit. Roads here in Walker County, at least in Jasper, look fantastic so far. We'll get on up to Cullman County. We haven't seen any issues up there. Again, the precipitation was much, much less. That's the Highway 278 corridor down below. In fact, it actually looks fantastic at this point there. Still, again, watch out for a few icy spots. Overall, not that bad. Plenty of sunshine to get you started, which is gorgeous. The problem is we're not going to get above freezing until a little bit later tomorrow. I think most of us stay below the freezing mark today, and we will see some additional help with the sunshine helping out, but again, you may still run into a few icy patches by tomorrow. It looks like we got a little bit of stuff dripping off the towers here. This is the Demopolis sky cam. Same story, you got some icy patches, but it doesn't look terribly bad as we look along the Tom Bigby there. Very cold day out. Some folks were asking about the
Dave, can take your bass boat out there today?
I don't think today.
Not today, no.
You know, when you're running 80 miles an hour chasing down the fish, it's not the same. And the wind chill is brutal. This is the Fultondale sky cam. We had some requests for this one a little bit earlier. Now we got some good visibility. That's the bridge, Walker Chapel Road, I-65 down below. You can see the bridge is pretty icy, but for the most part, it actually looks passable. That doesn't mean I advise getting out there, but it does look passable.
Let's go back to Megan's live stream. Megan or Stephen, who's on the phone there, tell us where you are. It looks like you're getting on 459 now.
Yeah, we are getting off. I will say the ramp was completely iced over, as we always report, but I will say the conditions on 459, at least looking from the overpass, do seem to be better than what we were seeing on I-65. I don't know if that's because this area has sunlight and has had it here for a little bit, or if the road's been treated. I don't know the reason, but I will say considerably better than I-65. Not advising people to go out on the roadways in any way, but simply saying it does seem a little bit better over here.
Okay, that's good. And again, you guys are going to go out toward Liberty Park, where we had reports of some 18-wheelers that have been jackknifed, and understand we can't get to all of these issues with these jackknifed 18-wheelers. But again, for those of you watching and internally, we are going to stay for 30 more minutes. We'll continue coverage until 8:30 this morning. We apologize for what would typically be on television now, and I don't even know. But again, we apologize. We just believe that the Birmingham Metro is in such bad shape that it warrants us staying with you for about 30 more minutes. And again, it's good to see it's much drier there, and I think you can kind of see where the heavier precipitation came down last night. And the other issue, understand some roads have been treated. And when the roads have been treated, they're going to be okay. But Alabama's a state where we don't have a lot of winter storms, and you just can't treat every road. And even though it might look dry there, in 5 miles, you get into a spot where it's just all ice. So again, this is Interstate 459. They're just coming off I-65. The next exit they'll encounter, and look at the ice on that bridge.
Yeah, that's where it gets a little bit dicey. And I'll tell you this, Lorna Road over 459 was a nightmare this morning. I have to admit, it takes me about 6 minutes to get into work normally. At 2 a.m. it's not that bad, but coming in this morning, it took me almost 45 minutes to get in. And the road on Lorna from Hoover, from I would say the police department back there, all the way back down in front of the Galleria was nasty this morning. It probably hasn't improved much. It's a very shady spot too.
Right, but so overnight we dropped into the teens, but the positives we have today, very dry air, very low dew points, and bright, full sunshine. And that tends to work magic. And again, by 12 noon today, that's when we think everything will be ready to go. But still, even at noon, you might want to watch for icy patches. But again, in most cases, I think we are should be in pretty good shape this afternoon. And because of the low dew points, most of this will dry. And I think tonight would be mostly fine. You just have to watch for icy spots. but tonight, tomorrow morning for church. Yeah, Stephen, go ahead. Or maybe he was just screaming at Megan. I don't know.
We're describing the conditions. It's pretty. We are on pavement now, thankfully. But if you look here, as you see, it changes the minute you get onto an overpass. I was simply saying with the tires, all the ice that is built up in the inside of our car, on the underside of it from the conditions that we've been on. But as you can see here, much better, as we had said, on 459. And I will say also, as you can see here, we do have law enforcement out in our area right now, patrolling all of these roadways where they are able to. As you see, a deputy with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office out here right now. So that is what's going on. We're passing Acton Road, making our way, as you said, to Liberty Park, where you are directing us to go. So we are continuing to make our way, but it is much better than I-65, at least for now.
Okay, do we have Bill Castle's shot still established? Bill, how this guy works in this weather, I have no idea.
It's awful cold out there, and he's been out there for hours at the top of that bridge looking over the Oxmoor area. And what we have seen here, just a few moments ago, I was gasping, James. There was this charter bus, an 18-wheeler, and then to the right, another truck that was stopped. And how they didn't stop and crash, I don't know, because you can see the road's just a sheet of ice. They're creeping along, and that should tell you something, that they know that they would slip if they went any faster. But the number of cars out here is really astounding. You can see that it looks like there is a truck with a plow in front of it. Hopefully that is a truck that has the sand that we've talked about earlier. And you know, salt in this situation would actually melt a lot of the ice faster, but as you mentioned, sand is the treatment of choice in the South because we don't have these events very often. But yeah, they are creeping along. There you can see the plow in the front of that truck.
Again, I want to point out these cameras are not robotic. We've had a human operating this camera since 4:30 this morning, and
are we sure Bill's human? Well,
yeah, this guy. Sometimes I wonder if he's a robot. The guy never sleeps,
He's
and
amazing.
he's a total machine, and he is just he's the best. Brenda, we've been with Bill since the '80s.
Exactly.
And Bill was
I
about.
was 2.
He was about, yeah. Brenda was 2 and Bill was 13. No, we've been together for a long time. And how many of these things have we worked together over the years? But again, that's an example. We do have a few trucks that can do some sanding and some shoveling if needed. We got a few out there, not many, but the folks involved with AlDOT, they're just doing the best they can.
Yep.
And again, there's a guy, and when you stop, when you
trouble.
stop,
Sliding.
you got the old Paul Simon song, Dave, slip sliding away.
slip sliding.
But by the way, a good friend, he sent a note earlier about the black Tahoe that we
no.
oh boy.
Wow. Yeah, what happened with that?
Apparently he got out, but what he was trying to do is he was trying to control his vehicle on ice using brakes. You can't do that. Here's
Yeah.
another example.
Right.
What you do is take a lower gear to keep your vehicle under control. You can't control your vehicle with your brakes.
And once you lose traction like this guy, it's gone.
Right.
You
And
can't-
now,
you can't
unless you
regain.
got that bag of cat litter
Right.
in the back of your car, then you're just going to have a hard time here.
Or you can, oh dear, I hope he doesn't go back over
He's going to get in that
edge.
grass.
Yep.
He's going to get in the ditch.
Oh, no.
careful.
Gosh, wish we could help. In some cases up north,
Oh.
yeah, there you go.
Slow down, Nellie.
Uh-oh. Yeah, in some cases, you can even take the floor mat and put it underneath to get some traction. I've done that in years past, and the pre-treatment of salt is so important because then the ice never really gets a chance to form. If in some cases we could get some, if you have salt and you sprinkle it outside, I've done this too, it does help prevent some slipping and sliding as you step out your front or back doors. People falling on the ice, that's also going to be an issue today, so please be careful.
Yeah, he may just want to stay right there. I don't know what he's going to do, but
You know, I have a friend who works in the emergency room, and she would always tell me when we had events like this, you get a lot more sprained ankles and broken wrists from people falling. And so You guys just be careful. Even the back deck is going to be iced over this morning, and you don't want to go out and try to go get the paper or anything like that. They probably didn't even deliver it last night.
Yeah. You don't want to break a hip.
This poor guy.
Yeah, you don't want to break a hip, and yeah, he's just
legitimately.
now.
His wife was like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm stuck."
Yeah, and I'm on live television, which makes it even more special.
And James Spann is picking on me.
No, we're not going to pick on this guy because trust me, I've been down. We've all been down that path.
Day.
It's not fun.
Let's, if we can double box, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Stephen and Megan, you guys, it looks like you're passing under U.S. Highway 280. How's it going on 459?
Yeah. Right now we're passing under Highway 280. It looks like the roads are okay, but on the overpass, we've seen several tractor trailers stop. But the roads on 459 at this point, the far right two lanes have a lot less ice on them. And we're looking back down 280, and it looks like nothing's really moving. Steven, do you have something?
Yeah, it's just it's kind of hard to see from our vantage point. I know James had mentioned Highway 280, and it's a problem spot, and it stands to reason with the amount of hills in that area, which was what we saw on 65 as well. We just simply couldn't see from our vantage point. There was a disabled tractor trailer on the shoulder, and we're starting to make our way closer to Liberty Park, and I can say now that it looks now, Megan, like we're getting a little bit more ice here on 459 as we move farther northbound.
And I will say also, it's every time you go up and down hills is where we're starting to see the ice forming, especially over overpasses, which we've been reporting all morning long.
Yep, and again, if you're just joining us, Charles, that's the Grandview.
Yeah, that's
camera,
the Grandview camera.
Showing that overpass.
They just went under this, and they saw that car, the tractor trailer at probably the south side here of the bridge. The bridge itself was a mess, but if you've been following us this morning, what you're noticing now, we're starting to add to a collection of vehicles. We've seen some of these vehicles sliding backwards. These two tractor trailers, if you can see here, they're getting out of their cabs now at this point. And you see some of the other vehicles stop, they get stuck, some of them have slid backwards. And the worst is there's a red light there, and you know you're going to want to have to stop on that bridge, and you may not regain traction, but it does look like folks are moving. You can see some of the other vehicles trying to work their way around and get out of the way. But the driver there, I wish I could zoom in just a little bit more. The driver, that's the driver of that one vehicle on the left, the tractor trailer, probably talking to the other guys saying, "Hey, how do we get out of here?" And that's where Megan just went under there, and Stephen as well.
I will say, Charles, if I could, we've kind of, going the speed that we've had
Let's flip back to their video in the other box, please.
We've been able to see some of these truck drivers.
I'm sorry, Stephen. Let's go back to their video in the Grandview box. Let's change to the Chaser stream. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Stephen.
Okay, I was just going to simply say a lot of these truck drivers obviously not in a good situation, but they do appear to be in good spirits. Many of them waving to us as we see a braver truck right here making a pass on our left-hand side here. But they do appear to be in good spirits. A lot of those trucks were on.
It's one of our trouble spots, and the reason we're focusing on Birmingham pretty much is the trouble spot. So, again, this is back to Megan and Stephen's camera, and we'll go back to Bill's camera in just a second. But, again, you guys, you know, what's interesting, you hit a patch where you think everything is nice and cool and everything's fine, then all of a sudden you wind up doing this, where it's just a mess. It doesn't look good there.
No, it doesn't. And looking back into Liberty Park, there's several neighborhoods back there, schools. Thankfully, schools will be shut down on Saturday, but it completely iced over in the back roads. And then in front of us, you can see that the ice is going nowhere. And on the other side of the road, so 429 southbound, completely stopped. And on the right-hand side of your camera, you can look that a car has now spun out and hit the guardrails. So this is a mess. People don't need to get in it. People don't need to get out. Don't need to come see what it looks like. And I know a lot of people, the onlooker delays, but that is what's happening. And so the more people that can stay home, the better. Right.
And we are going to stay here until 9. Just for a little note for everybody in the building, because of the serious nature of this, we're going to stay on the air until 9 o'clock now. And after that, Brenda, Dave, Charles, and I are going to go to the Waffle House, eat some waffles, and swap some manly stories. Dave, you got any manly stories?
No, we'll come up with something.
James, it looks like a four-car accident is right here on the curve of Liberty Parkway at the exit.
Wow, it's a mess.
Wow.
This is not good. And again, this is the reason we had you guys go down there. We had the reports of this, and unfortunately, all these reports are verifying. That looks very nasty. And again, that's Interstate 459. This is Liberty Parkway. This is between US 280 and Interstate 20. Look at the car.
That's a bridge right there.
Yeah, I
They
see
probably hit
one
that
car
bridge, try to brake.
into a rail. Goodness.
That car's totaled, and it looks like what happened is it had swung into the side rail, and then these three cars up here have all jumped into one another.
We certainly pray everybody's okay.
Right, and we have heard of no injuries, but we don't know. I mean, there's no way. There are things that are happening on these icy streets we don't even know about at this point. But again, this is just a very challenging situation. And again, if you are in a situation where you don't have to go anywhere, don't. And even if you do have to go somewhere, don't. I mean, it's not worth it. It's not. Concerning air traffic, I'm telling you now, I'm seeing many, many reports about air traffic in Atlanta. It's a nightmare. Hundreds of Delta flights have been canceled in Atlanta. Hundreds. And we tried our best to tell people, don't even think about going to Atlanta and fly there. It's not working. It won't work. It will not work. And Atlanta's, I don't know about road conditions, but I don't think they're good. Quite frankly, they're never that good in Atlanta, even on a day where it's sunny and 80 degrees. But when you've got this stuff, and but obviously, so we've got problems at the Atlanta airport. Here's another note. This is from Hoover Police, from John Talbot. We have 2 cars stranded in Hoover. Don't have the specific location, with infants in the cars needing help. And Hoover Police are trying to figure out how to get to them. And again, this is another example of what's going on here. You just, again, I'm not going to say it, but you just watch it. Watch our coverage. That's all you need to do, is watch this coverage for a few minutes, and you'll know what you need to do. But our advice is don't go anywhere until after 12 noon today. If you were in the winter storm warning area last night, the hardest hit clearly is Birmingham. Tuscaloosa's not in good shape. And again, we probably got some counties to the south that are not in good shape as well.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa County especially too. I'm just throwing this in, James. I got word from a friend that now the National Guard is being asked to help and assist with rescuing some of these stranded motorists there. So just a note from a friend that now the National Guard is getting involved.
And also a note, the Alabama State Troopers, they are not going to work a single car wreck. They will only work wrecks with 2 or more, or a wreck with an injury. So that's another sign that you get out there, you spin out, you hit a bridge, you go off in a ditch, you have nobody to help. And it's freezing. It's 18 in Birmingham. The wind chill has been sitting at around 0. And that in itself is dangerous. So goodness gracious, just sit back and relax.
When we were over on in Birmingham, looking back towards that area as we try to get up the hill, there are more traffic is starting to approach this area. So you're going to start to see more of these backups associated with these trouble spots, as we see people coming from outside of this region or just here locally that are making it to those trouble spots where either you cannot pass or it is passing very slowly within one lane. So that is going to be something to keep an eye on that I can see is already starting to happen.
We just saw an ambulance coming through. Bill Castle's shot. Bill is on Interstate 65 near Oxmoor. That ambulance was headed north into Birmingham. And these guys, like I talked about, these guys have to make these runs. People have medical emergencies during snowstorms and winter storms. So again, this is just one of our, it's a challenge for them. And the last thing they need to do is get through wrecks to get to the person they're trying to help. So again, on the right, you're seeing Interstate 65. That is located near Oxmoor Road. On the left, that's Interstate 459 approaching Interstate 20. And again, we understand that Interstate 20 is totally stopped near the Bass Pro Shop. And Megan and Stephen are going to go out to that spot to see if we can find out the reason for that. And that is one of many, 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 many situations where we have these stoppages on these interstates. And with the law enforcement not responding, and again, the latest note, the Alabama State Troopers, they're not going to work a single car wreck. They are not going to do that. They are only going to work accidents with 2 cars or more, or if there's an accident with an injury, because of the stress that they have right now. Had a report earlier that Hoover Police has 2 cars stranded with infants in each car. Again, it's very chaotic for the law enforcement agencies, and by anybody going out there, it's just more and more complicated, and it's just not wise. So Megan and Stephen, it doesn't look like it's getting any better where you guys are.
Absolutely not. And now we have a little bit of a hill right before you get to Grants Mill. Church of Highlands would be on your right-hand side if you're on 459. And the Mercedes and BMW dealership, I believe, is out there, World Imports. So We're going to continue to move north at this point. There's different pockets on 459 southbound where it's nobody, a deserted land. But then you have pockets where either a tractor trailer has spun out and is now blocking traffic. So that's what we're dealing with right now. But for right now, the roads are continuing to stay icy, and it doesn't look like things are improving at all. There are zero improvements since really 4 a.m. this morning.
Okay, thank you, Megan and Stephen. Again, I'm getting a lot of questions about some of these events going on today. I think there's some big to do with the BJCC. Tractor pull, what is that thing? Dave, you go to tractor pulls.
Yeah. Monster trucks, James.
Okay, and I don't know. I don't have the information. We'll see if we can find something out. I just simply don't know. But whatever it is, our advice is simple. Do not drive in the Birmingham Metro until after 12 noon. It's that simple. And if there's something going on before 12 noon, if you get out there, what you see is what you get. And again, we've got shots coming from Bill Castle on the right. Bill is positioned near I-65 around Oxmoor Road, and then on the left, that's Megan Thomas, Stephen Quinn there on Interstate 459 approaching Interstate 20. Looks like that is stuck on a ramp. The traffic is flowing obviously in your direction, and again, that is outbound toward Atlanta. And I want to stress, you guys aren't driving fast. You know, it's hard to gauge by watching these dash cam videos.
We're ranging between 15 and 20 miles an hour.
Right. I want to make that perfectly clear because, and you see somebody passing you, maybe they're going 20 or 25 miles an hour, but most people that are there are driving extremely slowly, and you guys are driving slowly in the Storm Chaser vehicle, which is designed to do events like this. But you know, we saw one knucklehead that was flying on Bill Castle's camera, that guy in that gray car. That's the one guy I saw that was just out of control. He was driving 65, 70 miles an hour, and I hope nothing happened bad to that guy. But again, we're going to get you guys positioned out toward the Bass Pro Shops. But let's go back to our airport sky cam if we can. This is coming from Birmingham Coca-Cola. If you fly into Birmingham, you've seen the Coca-Cola headquarters up on the hill, and this is a live look at BHM, Birmingham Shuttlesworth International. And goodness, that looks cold.
Oh, yeah.
Wind chill here has been down as low as -3. That's what we've been monitoring as I've been watching this through the morning. So wind gusts of 20, 25 miles an hour. Planes are taking off. They can get in and out with the planes, but they have canceled a lot of the flights. The problem is you can't get to the airport. If you live in Shelby County and you're going to try to get to the airport on 65, you're not going to make it. It's going to be a couple of hours. 65, especially around 31, between 31 and Alford Avenue, is just a disaster area, completely shut down, completely blocked by numerous vehicles. And then, of course, if you're going to try to get on 2059, you can't get over there on 2059 through downtown. We've got some icy spots there. It's manageable for a few folks to be able to squeeze through, but the likelihood that you're going to get down there is very, very slim if you haven't already left already. And, of course, you get down on the surface streets, it's even worse in spots. But the flights are moving. Just a note for you, and let me pull those up and I'll take a look. But so far, some of the flights have been canceled. In fact, I think this one was just canceled. The Atlanta flight, the 940 flight to Atlanta, canceled. Delta Airlines still says on time to Tampa at 10 a.m. I just don't think you're going to be able to make it down there. And I know you want to get down there, maybe a later flight tomorrow, and you'll still be able to catch the game. The next flight to Tampa is Delta Airlines at 3:30. That one has been canceled. And you may see some connecting flights. But if you're going to head to Atlanta on a connecting flight, let me put it this way. The Delta flight to Atlanta at 10:57 is now expected to be delayed until 4:45 this afternoon.
Oh, brother.
So Atlanta's a nightmare. I looked at the map. The traffic there is just a mess. In fact, I looked at the map and I just got away from it. It caused confusion and a headache. Just by looking at the map, the delays at the airport there in Atlanta are terrible. That means all connections will be terrible. They've canceled flights to Charlotte as well, the 10:10 flight there. You just can't get to the airport to get to those flights. So again, like we said, don't try it, don't do it, don't be on the roads if you don't absolutely have to.
And you were asking James, about it's Monster Jam down at the BJCC. I know someone earlier was asking, should I stay or should I not? And my response is an accident and a hospital bill is going to cost a lot more. And especially remember now, there's always a question when the roads are officially closed, and most of them are in this area, whether or not your insurance is going to pay if there is an accident. So yes, it could cost you a lot physically and also financially. Also, James, there are a lot of UA students, UAB students trying to make their way back into town from Mississippi, from Atlanta. They're asking, should we continue? Should we wait?
Just wait. You know, that's the thing. School starts, what, Monday for a lot of them?
What are these guys doing in that right box? I've been looking at data here.
Looks like they're walking, maybe gotten out of a car. If
Wow.
your car gets stuck and then you're out walking in the cold, and that can be dangerous too. We haven't even broached the subject of frostbite, and then when the ice is on the ground, you can slip, you can fall. So goodness, a lot of curiosity seekers, but you can see just about everything from our cameras. This is amazing. This is an opportunity we didn't have many years ago. So you can stay there, you can light a fire in the fireplace, cover yourself in a blanket, stay warm with some hot chocolate, and you can be everywhere all the time. And we can tell you what's happening out on the highways and the byways.
So let's go to Megan and Stephen. Megan, Stevens, tell us where you are and what you've got there. We might have. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was just going to say we are just about now to get on to Interstate 20, right here back in Irondale, making it from 459 to the Interstate 20 interchange, and it is still nothing but ice, really, from this point all the way to where we were at Liberty Park. Much of the same in terms of ice conditions out here. I know you had said that it's particularly bad, or at least reported to be in the Bass Pro Shops area. Certainly, that's where we're making our way right now. But it's slow going.
Okay, and again, we've got in the other side, Bill Castle has, looks like an ALEA vehicle, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, along Interstate 65, and these guys are just working as hard and as fast as they can to get to accidents, to get to people that are stranded, to get to people that need help, but they don't have the resources to get to everybody. And again, they're not working one vehicle accidents now unless there's an injury. Every law enforcement agency is taxed. Counties, municipalities, the state, it's just a huge mess, and by you going out, it makes it even more complicated. So again, our advice, if you're just joining us, and we're going to be here until 9 o'clock, we're going to extend coverage for 30 more minutes until 9 o'clock. If you don't have to, we advise do not drive in the Birmingham Metro until 12 noon or later. It will be radically different this afternoon. We have dry air, we have the sun.
And here's a little example, James, of what downtown. Let's go to the Skycam network here. This is our Alabama power camera. And this guy was moving pretty slow. In fact, I just watched it happen a few minutes ago. The guy in the truck on the right-hand side, he was going slow, swerved just a little bit. I guess he applied the brakes a little too hard, and he just barely kissed that guardrail there on the side. The good news is he's okay. He was out checking the damage on the vehicle. You can see Jefferson County there on the scene, but that's an example of what not to do. You don't want to be out there. And this guy, is this the same guy? I'm thinking it is. He lost traction.
No, that's another guy.
The
The original guy's behind him.
Oh, he's back in the back. Oh, man. Here's what happened is he's turned backwards. He lost traction. He stopped, and then he started sliding and fishtailing around. Oh, goodness. And anybody coming up that hill can't stop.
And the guy's going the wrong way, isn't he?
Yeah, he's trying to get off to the side there.
Again, this is Interstate 59. Dave, go ahead. I think you were trying to jump in here.
No, I was. They were talking to me in my ear, but I am on the BJCC page, and they are saying events at the BJCC will continue this weekend, despite winter weather occurring Friday night into Saturday morning. Monster Jam will have 2 performances, Saturday at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. And so there are no refunds or exchanges. They are going on with the show at the BJCC, and we hope
Well,
for the
again,
best.
I can't make any comment on that, but here's my comment. Do not drive until 12 noon.
Right.
So take it for what it's worth. That's what they say, and this is what I say.
This is why.
Right.
And this is
do,
why.
do
Right
not
here.
drive in the Birmingham Metro until 12 noon today. After 12 noon, you're fine. Go to the tractor pull at 7 o'clock tonight. Have fun. Have some popcorn. Enjoy it. It'll be a great show. But if you've got to drive before noon, it's not worth it. Everything in life is a risk. When you wake up in the morning, you're taking a chance. Everything is a risk. You have to manage risk management and understand. Don't do it. It is not worth it.
Meanwhile, this guy's got a monster jam of his own right here.
Speaking of monster jams, let's go. This is Highway 31.
There it is.
We're looking actually I-65 at 31 there in Vestavia exit looking towards Alford. And that's been a mess all morning long. Folks trying to get through there, they're not going anywhere. It's completely blocked. And, you know, maybe one of these guys in these monster trucks to set up an Uber account and maybe help some folks around today. But this is a mess. And I know we've got Stephen Quinn and those guys out. Let's go back to our double box of Bill Castle shot. There you go on the right-hand side. And then our storm chaser on the left-hand side. And let's go back to Megan and Stephen and see what they're seeing. They're getting out towards the Bass Pro Shops exit, and where we have a report of some big issues.
Yeah, so what we've seen right now, that the on-ramp to I-20 is an ice rink. We said that all morning. However, we're seeing several disabled tractor trailers, one on the eastbound side of I-20, and then two on the westbound side of I-20. So everyone's going about 5 to 10 miles an hour. So when we come around this corner, we're on a downslope, so everyone is picking up speed, unfortunately, not because they want to, because of the ice that's caused, or that is now on the ground. And it looks like we're looking to see what the sign says on the other side of the road. I guess it's pointing to just take it slow, but it looks like there's a van, if you look on the right-hand side of the screen, has now turned into the embankment before it fell really into the ravine, and then the tractor trailer has now slid and fishtailed into the guardrail as well. So
that's a very steep ravine. I don't know if the camera is really doing it justice, but that is a significant drop down the side of the interstate. Thankfully, that tractor trailer and that van did not go all the way down there, or that really, really could have been a mess. But this area right here, as you can see, those two, look at that. It's actually two tractor trailers. We could only see one of them, but now we're starting to get a better look. Two of them here that have jackknife onto the side of the interstate.
It looks like that they have run into each other, in fact.
You know, probably the second one probably slid right into the back end of the other one there, and thank goodness they didn't go out the side there. You're right, Stephen and Megan.
And I will tell you, on I-20 westbound, traffic is not moving either. We can't really see over the median, but from what we can see, there's several vehicles stalled off to the side of the road and several tractor trailers that have been disabled.
And we could stay with that
We're
shot.
slowly but surely coming up to the Shops of Grand River and the Bass Pro Shop.
We had an accident report in that area, and it looks like it's been clear, but obviously something's going on, and there's some problems. What you don't see, you guys don't see, is we're watching another guy on another truck trying to get up the same spot as the three other trucks before him, and he's not having any luck, is he, James?
No. And, you know, trust me, I'm not laughing at this guy. We've all been there. I mean, I remember 2014, we were trying to get 2 blocks away, and it took me 2 hours. And I tried every trick in the book, from the cat litter to the floor mats and everything. And sometimes it just doesn't work. But obviously, the inherent danger there is when you're on Interstate 65 and you're in some traffic lane, somebody doesn't know you're there. They tap on their brakes, they slam into you, and somebody gets hurt. And that's the last thing we're trying to do here. You can fix a car, you can fix something, but you can't, you know, this injury stuff is what we don't want.
He about lost it stepping out. You know,
he almost
been
wiped
there, you
out.
got that foot right out from under you there.
I almost wiped out in the parking lot out here last night.
And I will say, you know, not just here, even at your house, the sidewalks and things like that. I mentioned to you the safety concern there, because we always see an uptick of broken wrists and twisted ankles and things, and just injuries from folks slipping on the sidewalks, head injuries even. So mindful of that. A friend of mine that works in the ER just keeps reminding me to tell you guys that. So yeah, be careful. It's not snow that you're going to go out there and play with in most spots. It's just a nice little layer of ice that was snow at one point, now a frozen over glaze. And boy, look at the live shot from the chaser, the sun beaming off the ice. across. That's how slick it is. You may think it just looks wet. That is ice. That is complete ice all the way across the board, guys. Guys, you be careful in that chaser.
That's slicker than snot on a doorknob. I mean, that's horrifying. That's just horrifying. I mean,
I know where you were going to go with that one. I got a little worried.
We've been saying all
Oh, yeah.
morning.
So now we got these guys working
Wait,
here.
it's still sliding. Oh, you guys are missing it.
If another
If I could put on ice
comes
skates,
along,
I
they-
would, and I think I'd make it probably there faster.
Yeah, if
My
another
goodness.
vehicle comes along and these guys are out there, and it could, we just hope that they can get off the side of the road and get safe, because there you go. There's another truck coming past, and he's stopping and sliding on that hill and
There he's
sliding
going backwards.
backwards.
Let's
Come
take
on
that
now.
full
Is he
screen.
backing up?
Hopefully, oh my goodness.
Let's take that full screen.
Oh my goodness.
Are his wheels turning? Is he backing up? And there's
Oh,
another one.
It's
Oh my
It's-
goodness.
This is
Oh,
not
Monster
good.
Jam.
This is not good.
Yeah, this
There
is almost
are
as good
so
as
many
watching the Monster
That's
Jam.
right.
here.
Stay home and watch this. Oh dear.
But so many vehicles now. Overnight, of course, people were inside, but now everyone's thinking they have to get out and venture out. But you
Now
can
you gotta
see
dodge it.
why.
Oh.
You can see why you shouldn't get out there. You don't want to get stuck when it's so cold outside, and you may not have provisions. And look, they're outside of the vehicles now, and more cars are coming. I'm just frightened that something very tragic could happen here. Hopefully, it does not. But there are more cars coming down the road right now.
Yeah, and wind chills are in the single digits easily. We've seen them
guys.
drop below zero. Go ahead,
Can you guys
Megan.
hear
Go
me?
ahead.
I was gonna say it looks like the Alabama National Guard or National Guard is coming in on the opposite side of I-20 at this point.
All right, let's go back to the live feed there of their camera. Let's take it
Yeah,
full
we're
screen.
seeing a Humvee.
We'll take the
and
double
I'm
box.
already-
Everybody on the Twitter, they want to watch these guys and they want to watch Megan's. So we're going to double box this for just a minute. So go ahead, Megan. So
Did you see the
Yeah.
Humvee and the cars? It looks like the Alabama National Guard is coming in to help.
and again, Megan, are you at that Bass Pro Shops exit, US 78 yet?
We haven't gotten there yet. We're passing the TNT fireworks, and we should be getting on the Bass Pro, and a lot of people know the Outlet Mall. We're right at that exit, the Grand River Boulevard.
Hey, while we are watching all this unfold, I was checking on FlightAware, and so far today across the United States, 4,650 delays right now. Total cancellations, though, 2,157. So that's affecting airports across the nation, including Hartsfield and Atlanta and probably Birmingham. But what a mess.
Well, we got the guys going in the right
Okay.
direction.
He's
It's
helping-
a tow.
Yeah,
Is that a
he's
tow?
getting a tow.
There you go.
Okay.
This is one of those, probably a good Samaritan who's trying to help these guys out.
Now, we always have these heroes that don't have names and don't want any recognition, but there have been so many unsung heroes over the years during these weather situations like this.
But they have good trucks.
They got four-wheel drive, good tires, and I don't know if they got chains or not, but he's getting that other guy.
I'll tell you, that's a mean-looking truck. Right
That
there.
is-
Let me tell you what, I would look
That's
good
serious.
driving. I would look good driving that thing to
You
work every day.
would.
Probably one of the guys from Monster Jam.
Exactly.
Probably so. Now everyone wants to go see him, right? Oh my goodness, he's getting up that hill.
That's good.
Well,
That's very good.
That's wonderful. Boy, he's got some big tires on there. And that's the other thing. If you have bald tires and you're out, you have worn tires, you don't want to be anywhere near this ice, because that's just a disaster waiting to happen.
Yes. So again, we'll split screen this, and what's interesting, in the world of two-way communication, people can tell us what they want. It's kind of cool. Hey, leave that split screen up.
Yes, we want to know.
We have directors out there, huh?
That's great. We're trying to make everybody happy, and the one thing we do know, you don't want to look at us. When we're gonna stay with this until 9 o'clock for about 20 more minutes. But I think over the course of the last 5 hours, we've communicated our message: don't drive until noon. That sums it up, but we do want to see what's causing this backup out at the Bass Pro Shops on Interstate 20, and we might wind up having Stephen and Megan going on out toward the Moody exit if it's allowable, if they can get past that. But again, the screaming message is that nobody should be driving until 12 noon in the Birmingham Metro today. Conditions will be radically improved because of the dry air, low dew points, and the sun. It will be a different kind of day. We think it will be mostly dry tonight with icy patches, and tomorrow mostly dry. And, you know, we're going to be close to 70 toward the end of this coming week. So
That's amazing,
You know,
isn't it?
it was funny all the time people say, well, when's it going to get cold and stay cold? It doesn't do that here. I'm like old as dirt, and it doesn't do that.
Well, speaking of this, I just heard from Stu McCann, our sports guys. They're down there for the national championship game. I said, hey, what's the weather like where you are? He says, right now it's 66 degrees in Tampa, and we had a little rain come through. So thanks for that, Stu. We
that's
appreciate
rough
that.
life.
We got sub-zero wind chills around here. So I'm gonna block Stu on Twitter.
Yeah.
And, I won't talk to him anymore.
Block. And again, we do have, and I want to thank all of our people in the field. Goodness.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
People don't understand, Dave and Brenda, how hard it is when you're working out in this type zero wind chill
Well,
weather.
you know, we had Vinton Blandon and Stony Sharp down there in Tuscaloosa. The wind chills were like -3 while they were out there at some point this morning, and I feel for those guys.
Yeah, our reporters and our cameramen, they work so hard and make all this happen for us. So
I almost feel guilty sitting in this warm studio.
Yeah, you should. No, no,
Yeah,
you
no,
work so
I'm going to
hard,
have this
James.
guilt trip all weekend.
We'll go outside.
That's
Oh, look at this guy.
ridiculous.
Ooh, he just
Oh,
missed that guy.
please,
You
don't do
know,
that.
there's a knucklehead in every crowd, but they just don't do that. We'll call you out here. I mean, we got some big ratings on these weather shows here, and you got half the state watching you right now. So, we got a whole lot of cameras. And
Can you imagine if that guy's
James,
wife
we're
was
coming
watching and
up on
saw
the
that?
mess on.
He's in trouble.
Or it might have been a husband
hate
watching
to
the wife.
interrupt.
Oh, okay, Megan, go ahead.
Go
You're
ahead.
coming up on that mess. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I hate to interrupt, but we are on 420 eastbound, and it looks like we're coming up on lots of stalled traffic. This is a sheet of ice, like we've been mentioning all morning, but now we've come to a standstill, and it looks like we're about to be sitting in it because there is no exit.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it looks like traffic's trying to move to the right. We're kind of, our view's impeded by that overpass, but it doesn't look like there's much movement happening here. Majority of this are tractor trailers. There are a few cars in here, and it's worth noting a lot of these. We've seen some very nice people who are from out of town. We've seen a couple Florida license plate, things of that nature. You see a tow truck there as well that's making a U-turn. I mean, that's what it's come to. You can literally, I mean, just turning around in the middle of the interstate. Who could imagine it at 8:42 on a Saturday morning? You could be just turning around on the interstate, but that's where we're at right now based on the conditions out there.
Are you guys at or just beyond the Bass Pro Shops exit?
We're about probably 2 or 3 miles past the.
Right.
We're exactly 2 miles.
And
We're
then
about
just
2
beyond
miles.
that, there's a big hill, and I'm wondering if they can't get up that hill.
And I think that's exactly what that is. We were just talking before we started talking to y'all. I said, do you remember there's a bunch of hills on this, and we're about to go up one. I don't think we'll be able to make it up it because everyone is in the emergency lane and then the lane up next to it. And it looks like there's a tractor trailer that has, it looks like he's jackknifed into the side of the railing, and he's now blocking the left lane. So we have come to a stopping point.
Wow.
Creep on up there.
So what we might do is we might make a U-turn on the interstate as well and try to go backwards
My
to
goodness.
the closest exit.
And again, let me, so are you before the Bass Pro Shops exit or after?
They're about a couple
No,
miles
this
after.
is 2 miles. This is 2 miles after the exit.
So
for
you're
leaving the
between
Bass
US 78 and US 411 then?
Exactly.
Okay, I got you. All right, yeah, that's just not good. Wow. And this,
We're actually seeing, I'm looking at a tractor trailer now trying to reverse itself. I don't know if it's reversing itself or it is sliding, but we have a tractor trailer there, and you can see the car in front of it that is now reversing, trying to get out of the way. So that's the kind of things that can unfold when you get near these tractor trailers that, you know, they're doing their best, but it's a lot of weight, and sometimes you just simply don't have control over it. So I think we're going to stop right here for right now and keep our distance and see how this plays out.
safety first, and you guys know that. You do whatever you need to do. Television is secondary. I know people love the reality television we're doing here, but again, safety has to be first for all these people. And let me just say this about 18-wheeler drivers. These people are professionals and they're good. They get bashed all the time. Anytime there's a wreck involving an 18-wheeler, everybody's, well, they don't know what they're doing. These are professional. They work very hard hours and they're very skilled at what they do. You know, like everybody else, sometimes things happen. It's not their fault. So many times have you been in a wreck and it's not your fault? You're rear-ended by somebody. So let's be really careful about putting blame on anybody. This is not the time to play the blame game here. You know, it's not the time to do that. But again, if you're just joining us on the left, that is Interstate 20 that stopped. This is the outbound, eastbound lanes of Interstate 20 between the Bass Pro Shops exit, US 78, and the Leeds Moody exit, US 411. And that's our storm chaser creeping through that.
James, it's backed up all the way back to the next exit, which is the Love's Travel stop up in the next one.
The old Brompton exit.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, boy.
It's all the way there.
And this is, look, you know, somebody asked me a minute ago, well, can I catch my flight at the Atlanta airport? How about no?
You're not going to get there.
Number one, you have no hope of getting there. And number two, how many flights have been canceled out of Atlanta today? Hundreds?
Yeah.
The Atlanta airport's a nightmare. So for everybody that's trying to get to this, yeah. All right, so this is the Atlanta airport, Dennis. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
You know,
You'll be stuck there.
I had one adventure this last year. I don't even want to talk about it. You ever spent the night at the Baltimore airport, Dave, on a floor?
Thankfully, no.
I'm just telling you, I feel their pain. Wow. But again, Bill Castle's camera is over here on the right.
Oh,
that's Interstate 65.
Concerning.
And you see, understand, if this was 2014, this is the same almost set of circumstances here, but what happened this time, the warnings were excellent. People listened. They were home. And we don't have the volume of traffic. We're having all these issues with hardly anybody on the roads, hardly anybody. And can you imagine the whole city trying to let out at once with businesses and schools? I don't even want to think about that. My eye starts twitching.
Well, we were looking at this exact same view
back
then, and it was just car after car. It was a parking lot.
Yeah, you can't get up those hills when there's ice on the roadways. James, this also brings me to a question that, you know, we have a lot of people that are traveling through Birmingham. They might have gotten caught. This is a good reminder to have that weather app on your phone so that you can get the alerts, so that you know what you're driving into. I think some of these people just were really
here's one for you. Read the blog. Just read the blog. This is something that we knew about days and days and days ago. And read the blog. I mean, we pour out our heart and our soul over there. And you can access that blog on the 3340 app. It says Weather Blog. You click on it, and my heart and my soul is found right there.
And respect that. No driving polygon.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, we did not, because of the serious nature of what's happening here, we've just not had time to show pictures from yesterday. The snow pictures were unbelievably good from last night. I think I'm up to about 3,000 snow pictures. So I'll post a lot of those on social media today. But let's go back to Stephen and Megan. You guys, you ever seen the movie Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? It's where Del Griffith and Neil Page got out there in the interstate and they split those 18-wheelers. That looks like what you're doing.
I don't think they're that old.
No, that was an
I've
80s
heard
movie.
of it,
It's an 80s. Just smile and nod. Yeah.
I did. But what's scaring me is how they move when they're parked. But we just made it through it. But it looks like we still have a little bit more to dodge before we get to an exit to come back down on I-20 westbound. So this is a parking lot, and the sun is out and it's shining on the roads, but it's not helping much at all.
And in fact, you can see some of the truck drivers, just to give you a sense of how helpless they feel. They're out of their cabs now, walking around. I mean, they don't appear to be moving anytime soon out here. And right now, we're coming up again on another area where it looks like all three lanes are blocked. So we're gonna figure out how we can make our way through this.
Now, let me just say, at 9 o'clock, we are going to go back to programming, but we will resume some live stuff. We'll try and get Megan and Steven's stream up on Facebook Live on the ABC 3340 page, so you can continue to watch this. The truth is, you don't need us babbling and doing these corny jokes. You just need to be watching this, and we'll see if we can get the video feed you're watching now over on the 3340 Facebook page on their live feed, and I'll link it up on my page. But at 9 o'clock, we are going to go back. We've communicated the message for 5 hours now. There's not much else we can say. I don't like to cover up programming just to cover up programming and flat my lips. You know what to do and you know what not to do. If you're in the Birmingham Metro, don't drive until 12 noon. This afternoon, you can go get out, watch for icy spots this afternoon and tonight, but conditions should be much, 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 much better this afternoon. But it's a nightmare. Side roads are bad. Main roads are bad. Interstates, US 280, US 78, US 11. Tuscaloosa, same thing there. If you're in Tuscaloosa County, not quite as bad as what you've been seeing here, but still, my advice, if you're in the western part of the state, don't drive until noon. It's not worth it. You've got to learn to manage risk in life, and this is one of these cases where I'll help you out. Don't do it, okay?
I think they've reached a choking point here, James.
Yeah, you guys look like you're stuck now.
I think we are.
I think, yeah. I've tried to work my magic as much as possible, but we're no Houdinis. I think we may have reached the stopping point.
You guys got enough gas? You okay?
Yeah. We've got about 3/4 of a tank. We were prepared, so
We've just had a lot of water on this car ride.
Can you guys get further off onto the shoulder? Can you sneak by that car? That truck on the right?
We can try, but
I wouldn't try
it's
it.
pretty steep
No,
embankment.
I would not even think
Okay,
about
yeah,
trying
if it's
it.
a steep embankment. We can't see it from this vantage point, but
Shelby County
We're just
EMA Director.
We're just drinking a lot of water.
There's another bonehead on the right.
yeah, you guys aren't seeing this. These guys are driving way too fast.
Slow down, man. What's the matter with you? Goodness gracious. What, you got some flag flapping there? I mean,
That's really fast for these conditions.
walk out to 10 on us.
okay.
He was going to actually get
All
out
right,
of the car.
we
get in
have
the car.
some information coming in from the, in a minute we're going to talk with Shelby County Emergency Management about US 280. And again, for those of you just joining us, you're looking at Interstate 20 on the left, out around Moody and Leeds. It's stopped. Over on the right, you're looking at I-65 in the southern part of the